I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. I should have brought, I have a box of cards. And so, a lot of them prayers. People have been, praying and that type of thing. And I've really appreciated that. It's been really good. Those connections, those spiritual connections kind of last longer than the physical connections, but it's been great. It's been just an absolutely wonderful experience. But let's say it's got a little sickening almost from the standpoint, are you on TV again? So yeah, one of those things. But I guess maybe from the standpoint of how did this whole thing start? When I came from West Bend to Waukesha, the Archbishop asked me, because I had the Fond du Lac experience where 6 parishes came together, and now there are actually 8 in Fond du Lac that are part of that merger, and they're doing really well. And so part of the whole thing was just to kind of get to know people and, kind of say what's going on, how can we make this better? And as the Pastoral Council talked about it, we have the Christmas parade coming up. Maybe we can get parishioners to come to the Christmas parade and be marching in it. So that was the goal, to see what we could do with that. So we had about 50 people that decided that they were going to be part of it. And given the potential, it was kind of small, but we're happy. We're happy with it. And so we were in the parade. We were number 44. There were 43, I don't know what they call them, groupings ahead of us. So we were number 44. And right behind us were the dancing grandmas, the dancing grannies. I think it's called the dancing grannies. And so in hindsight, that was a little frightening, to be perfectly honest. So I heard nothing. I saw nothing. I ended up marching. There were 4 of us kind of holding the banner, Catholic Community of Waukesha and that type of thing. And we were waving to people, and there's a lot of noise, the marching band and things like that, they were all there. And so we just kind of did what we needed to do, and all of a sudden I find myself on the ground. And I must have been knocked out. That's all I could figure out. Then someone asked me, well, can you stand up? Well, of course. Well, I couldn't. I said, well, can you get to the chair? Of course. I really couldn't without help. So they kind of helped me to the chair and kind of, what do they call it? The airport recombobulation zone. So I was in the process of kind of getting my act together that way. And, but you could just see there were people all around lying on the ground. There were people helping people. They came with blankets. They came with teddy bears. They came with chairs. They were helping with the emergency situations. And it was just absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. The community, we're looking at something to bring the community together. None of us ever expected anything like this. But boy, this community came together, and they came together well. It was just unreal. Father Matthew Witter, who we work together, he is now the pastor. We swap roles, and that's a good thing. So people my age should be kind of doing more of the supportive thing, and let the young guys take care of that. And both of us are very happy doing what we're doing. And so one of the local police officers took Father Matthew and myself to the ER. And I guess that's just how it goes, So the cop took us to the ER, and I found myself in this rather large waiting room with lots of people, many of which were from the parish. So we had a big family, and 2 of the boys had leg injuries. I saw one today. He's still limping. He's got the boot on, and the other one has got a cast on, and that type of thing. And one of our Pastoral Council members was in a wheelchair on the side, and it was overwhelming, just overwhelming. So I was in the waiting room in kind of a wheelchair, and Father Matthew was kind of meeting the crowd and doing the anointing of the sick when needed to be. At that particular point, 2 of the other priests that I work with, Father Jorge, who's Spanish speaking, and Father Chuck Robel, and both of these guys were around, and just, how are you? What can we do to help? And the hospital staff was the same way. How can we help? How can we make this easier for you? And so it was that way. And so, yeah, Yeah, it was pretty incredible. It was touching. It was very, very touching. They couldn't do enough for you. They really wanted to help make this work. So I ended up with a concussion. And concussion, what is the residual effect? You might get nausea, you might get dizziness. You know, I had bits of that, but none severe. But they wanted to keep me overnight to take a look at things. So they put me in ICU, and I think it's because they didn't have anything else to put me in. So I was in ICU, and I had a CT scan, and they did find the brain, by the way. And so I had the CT scan, and then I had another one at 4 a.m. You know, I couldn't sleep anyway. It's kind of like you can't sleep at that. So, but that night, the ICU people were absolutely phenomenal. When I was in ICU, my priest colleagues came up, Father Matthew, Father Chuck, Father Jorge, they were there, and we did the sacrament of the anointing of the sick. And it was, I don't think I could talk about it because I get teary-eyed. All of us were teary-eyed. It was that touching, you know, priests working with the priests and that type of thing. So it was just a moving experience. So they released me the next day, actually. And I've been telling everybody, my nurse was Father Matthew. So Nurse Matthew threatened to ground me if I wasn't cooperative and to take away my electronics. Because at that particular point, I was getting text messages and, I was trying to answer them. Well, I still have a whole slew of text messages and emails that I haven't answered. It's not that I haven't tried, and I wasn't grounded, and they didn't take away my electronics. But it was just too much. And apparently, when you're staring at a screen, it's not good if you had a concussion. So, well, it took a while for that to sink in, but I finally got it. But just even touching base then with Pastoral Counsel people, the chairperson of the council had a concussion like I did, but I think he was hit by the car. So he was in a wheelchair. I haven't talked to him in like a day or so now. I think he's still in that wheelchair, but he's doing better. The guy next to me had, I think he said, 8 cracked ribs, and he was in pretty much pain. And he's, they say none of us are kind of spring chickens, but been through an awful lot. And but so that's kind of where we are at that particular point. A couple of things. I was in the ER, I think, and one of the hospital personnel kind of looked at me and said, "Are you angry?" It's kind of like, I hadn't thought about it. I don't get angry. It's not part of my personality. My family never gets angry. I think I was more frustrated and disappointed. And, before I was ordained a priest, I worked a little bit with mental health. And so, I've come to kind of not appreciate, but come to recognize mental health issues. And this is probably a mental health issue that we're talking about. So, no, I wasn't angry, but I think we need a process where the parish members who are injured can get together and talk about it. I was kind of, quarantined a little bit to the rectory. I didn't really get out because I just didn't feel that good to get out. And but once I did get out, talking to people in the parking lot and on the streets and that type of thing that I knew, it's kind of like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that the guy next to me might have been hit. I didn't know any of that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I think we need an experience of processing the injuries. So, but I am, grateful for everything people did. I am grateful for the cards and the letters and the prayers. I am grateful for the affirmation and things like that. So it's been good. And Judy, I'm glad you came, and glad you were able to talk about it. And it's good. I appreciate that.